Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Today, I am proud to sign into law 4 bills. Each will make North Carolina strong in different ways. They'll be making North Carolina safer, lowering housing costs, and improving public services. The 4 bills are House Bill 1173, that's Jalea's law, House Bill 1104, to improve the IVC process and enhance public safety, House Bill 162, which is parking lot reform, stormwater control, and then the last bill is Senate Bill 1041, the Public Workforce Modernization Act. Keeping North Carolina safe is job one for state government. The first 2 bills take important steps to improve public safety and address public health. Starting with House Bill 173, I want to thank Representative John Bell. Where did John go? Right here. He hit on me. Thank you for your leadership in getting this bill to my desk. In signing this bill, we remember Jalea Toon, who was a bright 13-year-old whose life was cut too short. We're honored to be joined by Jalea's family today. Thank you so much for being here. It's been 6 months since they lost Jalea. They went from putting up Christmas tree ornaments to having to plan a funeral, which just rips a heart out of any loving parent. The fact that we're gathered here today is a testament of their advocacy and their love for Jalea. We remember her and we commit to carrying her memory forward. Jalea's mom, Whitney, will be talking to us shortly, and she shared with me just a moment ago how bright and shining and friendly and caring that Jalea was. But one day, walking home from getting something to eat, she was shot and killed by a random act of gang violence. A heinous thing to happen to a young girl, and an earth-shattering loss that continues to haunt their family and will for the rest of their lives. As a community, it's our job to wrap our arms around the family and let them know that they're supported. And as leaders, it's on us to take action to do everything we can to keep other families from experiencing the same pain that they did. House Bill 1173 does just that. It makes it easier for prosecutors to bring charges under the Criminal Gang Suppression Act so that we can crack down on gang activity. Last year, I established a gang prevention and intervention task force, which is working to reduce the presence and impact of gang activity in North Carolina and to keep young people out of gangs. We have to address the root causes of gang activity by giving young people better options to spend their time. And we have to crack down on gang activity to protect innocent North Carolinians like Jalea. This bill gives us tools to achieve those goals, and I want to thank again Representative Bell for his leadership, and we honor Jalea's family for their strength in fighting for this bill to protect other family members from experiencing this same tragedy. At this point, I will invite forward Representative Bell, who will then introduce Whitney Brown Toon, Jalea's mom. Representative Bell.
Thank you, Governor, and a lot of folks standing behind me and a lot of folks out here were all instrumental in making this happen. There's a lot of people to thank, and we'll try to remember everybody, but first of all, I want to thank my team, Reagan and Jimmy and everybody in the Rules Office and the Speaker staff for all your hard work and dedication in getting this bill across the finish line. I want to thank my co-sponsor, Representative Sarah Stevens, and all the other co-sponsors involved in this on both sides of the aisle. This truly was a bipartisan effort where people brought forward different ideas as the legislation moved through the General Assembly. We were very proud to have very strong vote counts in both chambers. I also want to thank the Chuck Spahos and the Conference of District Attorneys. I want to thank the SBI. I want to thank the Sheriff's Association. I want to thank a lot of people behind me here. I want to thank the Governor's Office and his team, the Governor's Crime Commission, Cabinet Secretaries. As you can tell, a lot went into this. Also locally, I want to thank our mayor, Mayor Goldsboro, Charles Geller, and his team. I know we've got Councilwoman Beverly Weeks is here. I know we've got representatives from the City of Goldsboro Police Department, Matt Livingston, our city manager, community advocates, friends. Everybody here came together today to support this family. And when I had a chance to meet with Whitney, I asked her, I said, do you want to try to figure out some tweaks, or do you want to go big and make sure that Julia's name will never be forgotten and always remembered? And Whitney said, let's go big. Well, Whitney, we're here. It don't get much bigger than this stage right here. But we remember Julia and what she stood for, but most importantly, I want people to remember her name, and that an innocent little girl is not with us today because of the senseless acts of violence. And what Julia's Law will do will give prosecutors and law enforcement the tools necessary to really go after those perpetrators and make sure that they do not hurt anyone else in this state. But also, this is about a mom and a family on a mission. And Whitney, I'm so proud of your advocacy. I'm so proud of what you've done. I'm so proud that you have been involved in this from every step of the way, from committee meetings to sitting in the chamber, to watching it go through, to answering phone calls, to bringing ideas to the table. This started with you. And we're so proud of you, and I'd like to bring you up here and for you to say a few words.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Jesus, my Lord and Savior. I cannot do anything without him, first and foremost. And I would also like to thank Representative Bell, Representative Stevens, Senator Newton, and so many more lawmakers that made this happen. I cannot forget Reagan and Jimmy, of course. They've been awesome through this whole process. Please remember my daughter, Jalea Lily Toon name. She was only 13, and I had to live with that pain every day. I cry daily because I miss my daughter. My kids are hurting. We are hurting. And this is not going to stop all the violence, but it will help. And us as parents, we need to be more accountable of what our kids doing on these social medias, because it starts on these social medias before they hit those streets, just to keep that in mind. And I just want to thank everybody for the love and support, and thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Come join us. Julia's bill is now law. Thank you, Connor. I want to thank the Toon family again. Cannot imagine how difficult that is for them, but they're putting the state first, and we appreciate that. Next is House Bill 1104. This is about improving involuntary commitment, or the IVC process, to enhance public safety in North Carolina. In February, I signed a behavioral health and criminal justice executive order directing state government to coordinate our response on improving behavioral health and public safety in the state. The Departments of Health and Human Services, Adult Correction, Public Safety, and the Office of State Human Resources have been integral to that effort, and I thank them for their dedication. I issued the executive order in the wake of several high-profile tragedies that happened in our state involving people experiencing severe mental health crises. And of course, the vast majority of people having mental health challenges pose no risk to others or themselves, but there are a small minority who have serious mental illness who can pose a risk to public safety and can pose a risk to themselves when that condition goes untreated. When they have access to care, they're healthier, they're better, and all North Carolinians are safer as a result. In the months that followed, I met with behavioral health leaders and law enforcement folks, including a number behind me. We learned about what was working and where there were gaps in the system. And one persistent topic that kept coming up was IVC, involuntary commitment. It can be an important tool when people who are struggling with mental health or substance misuse might harm others or themselves and are unable to appreciate that they themselves need treatment. They're in such a state of delusion, they don't even know that they need help. North Carolina's IVC system needs critical improvements. Public safety and healthcare professionals struggle to care for these individuals due to resource constraints, information gaps, and other barriers. This bill makes IVC a more effective tool for the state to use. It strengthens our laws around court-mandated outpatient treatment, which is an effective option to get people mental health care outside of an institutional setting. It empowers DHHS to run programs to connect defendants to mental health treatments so they can have their capacity restored to stand trial. It improves training for IVC examiners, and it mandates a series of studies and working groups to continue the work of improving the IVC process in the state. Stakeholders will continue to explore how to better conduct IVC examinations using telehealth in jails and mobile crisis units in communities, and how to integrate data from healthcare providers, law enforcement, and judges to improve health outcomes for people with substance use disorders. Much of this work aligns with the executive order that I signed last February. The bill represents a bipartisan cross-sector effort of many dedicated people committed to solving a real problem facing our state. I want to thank Representatives Tim Reeder and Hugh Blackwell, who co-chaired the House Select Committee on IVC and championed this legislation. I also want to thank Senator Danny Britt for his leadership and collaboration on the Senate side. I'm also incredibly proud of the Department of Health and Human Services efforts on this lead, specifically Chief Psychiatrist Dr. Carrie Brown, who could not be here today, and I want to thank Dr. Brown and her entire team. And I appreciate the contributions of our law enforcement partners at the North Carolina Sheriff's Association, academic partners at the NC Collaboratory, judicial partners at the AOC and Conference of DAs, mental health advocates and providers with NAMI and our LME MCOs, and so many others. I want to thank each of you for your seriousness of purpose to try to make this process better for our people and for the state as a whole. North Carolinians will be safer and healthier because of the work of these groups of people. At this point, I'll invite forward Representative Reeder and then Secretary Sangvi of the Department of Health and Human Services to say a little more about this bill. Representative Reeder.
Thank you very much, Governor, for allowing me to talk about House Bill 1104 and participating in this event. I want to thank Co-Chair Blackwell and all the members of the House Select Committee on Involuntary Commitment and Public Safety who contributed to this bill. The work of the committee was informed not only by the tragic death of Irina Zarutska, but also many other citizens who have been harmed over the years. North Carolina's involuntary commitment system is often fragmented with limited data sharing, inconsistent processes, and insufficient treatment capacity. Law enforcement officers, hospitals, courts, and families frequently struggle to navigate a system that lacks real-time data sharing and available treatment resources. Too many individuals cycle repeatedly through emergency department, jails, mental illness, and substance abuse treatment facilities without really getting consistent quality treatment. The work of the committee over the last several months has been to address this issue, protecting the public from criminal behavior while ensuring those with serious mental illness receive the care that they desperately need. The committee's work will improve our mental health system, especially for those who are involved in the criminal justice system, but it will not fix the entirety of the mental health system. The bill has been informed by many hours with the select committee, stakeholders, engagement, feedback from many, many people. It's not the complete solution to the issue entirely. Rather, it is forward progress on a complex and challenging set of problems. As I've said many times, it's taken decades to get us to this place. It's going to take us more than a few months and one short session to get us out. I know that the work of the group was important to us, and we've asked the speaker to continue this next term, and so I do plan to be back for that. I want to specifically thank some great partners on the bill: the Sheriff's Association, the Department of Health and Human Services, the Administrative Office of the Courts, the Conference of District Attorneys, the Healthcare Association, the Collaboratory, many individuals and groups, including NAMI, who gave us input and feedback. The bill focuses on improving outcomes for those individuals suffering mental illness. It calls for better data sharing through the use of technology like telehealth to do the evaluations and do treatment in jails, unburdening the sheriffs with transportation and providing security in local emergency departments. It addresses important inpatient capacity at our state-owned facilities. And I too want to call out Dr. Brown and Dr. Sangbai for their work to increase capacity at our facilities. The bill makes outpatient treatment more available for many, many people. House Bill 1104 recognizes that our involuntary commitment system must protect individuals while providing safety and security for our communities. I want to thank the governor for your support in this bill and all the work of many, many individuals, and I look forward to continued work on this issue. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Representative Reeder, for the kind introduction. I'm grateful for you, our partners at the General Assembly, and Governor Stein for taking this step forward in improving health care and supporting a safer North Carolina. Each of us here today recognize how North Carolina's crisis system is fragmented, leaving gaps that drive hospitalization that are otherwise avoidable, unnecessary interaction with law enforcement, burden on police officer, and extra cost to the state. As a result, we see far too often that mental health crises are funneled through the justice system instead of the mental health treatment system. This bill aims to reduce the revolving door between jails, hospitals, and crisis services with the goal of improving public safety and ensuring individuals receive the treatment in the most appropriate setting while maintaining due process protections. The legislation builds on, and you heard this already, collaborative efforts that are already underway from Executive Order 33 that Governor Stein signed early this year. EO 33 is bringing together state agencies with the central goal of improving mental health care for people involved in the justice system. One of the key areas of focus is improving the involuntary commitment process. Specifically, House Bill 1104 substantially modernizes and updates outpatient commitment laws in the state, including revising the criteria for outpatient treatment or outpatient commitment, which is not appropriate for the vast majority of people with mental illness, but it can be an important tool for individuals with a history of dangerousness or repeat hospitalizations when non-compliant with treatment. It also sets new requirements for treatment plans, monitoring and reporting for individuals under outpatient commitment. It will also define clearer procedures for hearings, non-compliance with treatment, and provider responsibilities. One of the major components that will help decrease burden on state hospitals and law enforcement is the creation of statewide capacity restoration systems. This bill establishes community-based, detention center-based, and inpatient-based capacity restoration programs, building on the successful pilots that we've had in Wake County, Mecklenburg County, and Pitt County at the detention centers there. By making capacity restoration services available in detention centers and communities, we're able to get people the care they need and move through the justice system or in the judicial process quicker. It also helps preserve state psychiatric hospital beds for those who need higher level treatment. Today's bill signing is a critical step forward for the crisis system in North Carolina. And while we're talking about IVC today, our work at North Carolina DHHS is focused on improving the entire crisis continuum, from prevention and early intervention to crisis response, treatment, recovery, and long-term community support. I'm grateful for the partnership with all of you in the room and the countless local, county, state, and federal entities who are all collaborating with us to transform mental health care in North Carolina so that every person can get the care they need when and where they need it. Thank you, and at this time, I'll turn things back over to Governor Stein.
This time, House Bill 1104 to improve the IBC process is law. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, sir. Good to see you. All right, if I can get everybody's attention, please, we'll move on to our third bill. The next bill that I'm going to sign is House Bill 162, which supports our efforts to build more homes, lower housing costs for families, and improve resilience. Less than 2 months ago, I signed an executive order to increase housing opportunities for all North Carolinians. Looking ahead to 2029, our state is projected to be more than 750,000 homes short of our housing needs. Nearly a million, 750,000 homes short. Today, we're taking an important step forward to address those needs. We need to remove unnecessary and expensive barriers like burdensome parking lot requirements that lead to higher housing costs. Parking lot requirements can add $200 to $300 a month in rent for residents. They also make it harder for developers to build new housing because they have to set aside more space for a significant, which can often be excessive, requirement on parking lot spaces. This bill increases flexibility by eliminating mandatory minimum parking spaces based on occupancy in most North Carolina counties. It allows local governments as well to offer incentives to developers when implementing additional stormwater controls. These additions can help protect property by reducing flooding, improving resiliency. This bill shows what happens when people can come together to solve North Carolina's big issues. I want to appreciate the housing advocates, the conservation groups, the developers, the employers, the local and state leaders who came together to make this bill happen. Of course, we still have a lot of work to do together. We've got to build more homes and strengthen our housing workforce so that people can both find and afford homes in the communities where they work and want to live. We need to make it easier to build housing in areas that are already zoned for commercial use to bring people's homes closer to their jobs. We need to make starter homes for young families and more duplexes, townhomes, condominiums, homes of all types to meet the needs and desires of our people. There are policies that we can adopt to make each one of these goals much more achievable. And I look forward to working with the legislature on those additional ideas. But this bill is a solid start. I'm grateful to the legislators who shepherded the bill, Representative Donnie Loftus, Representative Howard Penny, Representative Mark Brody, who's not here, Representative Allison Dahl, as well as Senators Julie Mayfield and Tim Moffitt. At this point, I'm going to invite forward from the North Carolina Housing Coalition, Stephanie Watkins-Cruz, to say a little bit more about this bill. Stephanie?
Thank you, Governor Stein. I appreciate being here. I'm really grateful to stand alongside so many advocates, practitioners, policymakers, and housing leaders who have spent years working together to make this moment possible. In housing policy, we spend a lot of time talking about units and funding levels and interest rates, zoning and production goals. But behind every statistic is the reason we do this work, and it's important to start off with that: people. For me, this work is deeply personal. I was born and raised here in North Carolina, and I've experienced housing instability myself. So I know firsthand that housing policy isn't abstract. It shapes the courses of people's lives, and it can be a matter of life and death. Both of my parents worked incredibly hard to build a better future for our family, and I carry their memory with me every day in this work. They taught me that home is more than four walls and a roof, and it's the foundation for opportunity, for health, for dignity, and for hope. So when we say that 1.2 million North Carolina households are cost burdened, meaning they're spending more than 30% of their household income on housing, we're not talking about a simple number. Those are households. 1.2 million households are on this slippery slope of cost burden. We're talking about families and elders making impossible choices between rent and groceries, education, and medicine. And when we talk about North Carolina needing more than 760,000 additional homes over the next 5 years, we should think about not only the folks coming to our great state, but those who are here, serving our communities, and often struggling, working, raising families, and trying to find a home that they can keep and that they can afford. Building more housing is essential, and making that housing affordable is an even greater challenge. That's why at the North Carolina Housing Coalition, we've long said that solving our housing crisis requires attention to supply, subsidy, stability, and systems. House Bill 162 is one important part of that comprehensive approach to that work. And it demonstrates the intersection and importance of balancing housing development with resiliency and with environmental thoughtfulness. By reducing unnecessary barriers like excessive parking mandates, this bill helps lower development costs and creates better conditions for building more homes, which we need. And over time, it will support greater affordability. However, it is not a silver bullet. It's only one part of the solution. This bill represents, although an imperfect policy, as all policies are, it represents the intersection of wastewater resilience and environmental concern, because our housing units don't exist on a cloud. They exist in communities. So as we take better care of our communities and we remove barriers to make sure that people have a place where they can call home, this bill is a key part of that. More importantly, HB 162 reminds us that housing is not a partisan issue. It's a human one. And this legislation reflects what's possible when people from different perspectives and sectors come together around a shared goal. It shows how ensuring that more North Carolinians having an opportunity to find a safe, stable, and affordable place to call home can be shared, and you can actually get developers, conservationists, housing nerds, and advocates in the same room to agree. At the North Carolina Housing Coalition, and as a proud member of the coalition that has led to this moment, I know that we'll continue to show up like we have for the last several years. And at the coalition, we have continued to make sure that by bringing data, research, and lived experience, we'll continue to lift up the voices of communities that are telling us a really clear message, that housing matters to North Carolina. And I, for one, am really honored to be here in this moment because every North Carolinian deserves the opportunity to live in a home they can afford and in a community where they can thrive. So today, we celebrate one important step toward making that vision a reality. Thank you.
House Bill 162 to build more housing units is now law. Thank you all. Appreciate you being here. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for being here. You good? Yes, sir. Thanks. How are you? Come join us. Where are all these babies I've been hearing about? Oh, we don't trust them? Okay.
Here comes more. Hang on one sec.
Okay. Thank you all. The final bill that I will proudly sign is a big deal for all North Carolinians, whether you work for the state of North Carolina or just depend on its services. Our goal is to make North Carolina the best state to live, work, and raise a family, and Senate Bill 1041 supports these efforts. It modernizes our public workforce and supports state employees. I'm pleased to be joined by Director of State Human Resources, Stacey Meyer, Senator Corbin, and Representative, thank you again, Representative Loftus. And it's good to see Ardis, who is Executive Director of Scenic, and President Wendell Powell. We appreciate your participation and help in this legislation. This bill builds on Senate Bill 124 from last year, championed by Stacey and her team at the Office of State Human Resources. It's an advancement that represents our state's most comprehensive HR modernization in about 50 years. This effort is all about making it simpler for people to get good state government jobs and making those jobs more attractive so that state employees want to stay in those jobs. It's about ensuring that we reward high performance and build a workforce that will deliver results for the people of North Carolina. Here are just a few highlights of the bill. It streamlines the job application process to make it easier to apply for state jobs, helps spouses of service members to find jobs in state government. And once you're hired, it creates work-based learning opportunities for state employees. And one piece of this bill that deserves special recognition is that it expands paid parental leave to 12 weeks for both moms and dads in state government. Now, any parent knows that juggling work and being a new parent is no small task. But with this state policy, we're making it easier for parents to succeed in the state's workforce. The bill pulls from HR best practices across industry and government and continues the work to elevate public service. And to anyone out there who is looking for a rewarding career that will help their neighbors and make this a better state, we encourage you to come look at joining Team North Carolina. And if you want to know what jobs are available out there today, go to nc.gov/joinnc, and you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of great ways to serve your fellow North Carolinians. I'm proud that North Carolina is the top state in the country for workforce. Proud about how we can maintain that status by putting families first. So I'm grateful to Bill's sponsor, Senator Kevin Corbin, and all the bill's co-sponsors. And I'm pleased to be joined by Anna Troxler, who is a teacher at Broughton High School, my kids' alma mater, also a recent mom who's going to share more about what this policy will mean to families. So first, I'm going to invite forward Senator Corbin, then Stacy Meyer, the director of OSHR, and then Anna. Please join us.
Thank you, Governor. So glad to be here today for this bill. It's been a lot of work. Representative Loftus leaned over to me, and the Governor mentioned about the parental leave part, and he said, this means you get to take time off too. And I said, Representative Loftus, we're through having babies. We're not going to affect me. Thank you, but we're so glad to have introduced this bill. First of all, thank you to my primary sponsors, Senator Todd Johnson and Senator Michael Lee, for lending their name to this bill, and all the folks over in the House that helped us get through. The bill went through the Senate easily and then got over to the House. I want to thank Representative Bell for his help over there. Those of you that know the legislative process understand there's 3 places that things disappear. Things disappear in a haunted house, the Bermuda Triangle, and House Rules Committee. And this bill did not disappear in House Rules Committee. It made it through. But everybody worked through. I was telling the governor a moment ago, we're talking privately, and I said, you know, this bill is an example of bipartisan work. Yes, we can do that in North Carolina. And from the very beginning, we worked along with the governor, his office, the Pro Tem's office, Colt Ohm, the chief of staff, Stacy and her folks worked. This has been about a year in the mill. So this is a bill that's been, has not been updated. The governor mentioned a long time. It's been since 1965. So I think it's time that this was overhauled. And I was glad to be able to sponsor that bill, and glad the governor is signing the bill. I'm assuming you're signing the bill. I'm here for that. So, but with that said, thank you to everyone involved in it. State employees supported this bill all the way through, as well as DPI, the other state agencies, and we appreciate that very much. We're glad this bill is going to become law. It's going to become easier to go to work in North Carolina. It's going to become better to work in the state of North Carolina, and we're happy to help provide that through Senate Bill 1041. I want to thank especially my staff, Cindy, who's here, Cindy and Savannah and Dina, and my wife, Beth, who fields all the phone calls for that. This has been a long time coming, a lot of work, and I appreciate all those who have done so much work for this. With that said, the Director of State Office of Human Resources, Stacy Meyer. Stacey.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon, and thank you, Governor. I'm excited and honored to be here today for the signing of Senate Bill 1041. As many of you know, the Stein administration has a core belief that if we invest in our most valuable asset, our people, then we'll have a stronger, safer, and healthier North Carolina for everyone. Senate Bill 1041 is a critical step in advancing that goal, because a strong public workforce and a responsive human resources system are foundational to delivering high-quality services to the people of North Carolina. As the governor said, this legislation is the first comprehensive overhaul of the state's HR law in over 60 years. Our current system reflects this lack of innovation. It's too slow. It's too rigid to meet the demands of a 21st century workforce. For instance, highly qualified applicants are burdened by our process, and they wait too long to hear after applying. Managers lack flexibility and tools to recognize great work and to hold employees accountable for poor performance. Employees are increasingly faced with stagnant benefits and often to find clear, attainable paths for growth. This legislation will help attract the next generation of state employees by creating new pathways into public service. Those include work-based learning like apprenticeship, skills-based hiring to bring in a wider pool of talent. It helps speed up the hiring process to fill more vacancies by allowing agencies to convert high-performing temporary employees into permanent employees after just 3 months. It allows employees to laterally transfer within agencies to meet their evolving needs. And perhaps most importantly, as you've heard, this legislation will help us retain our state employees by providing stronger benefits such as expanded parental and bereavement leave, as well as authorizing greater bonus and leave flexibility. At the end of the day, good management is about putting the right people in the right jobs and holding our workforce accountable to ensure that they're best serving the people of North Carolina. The people who rely on our state agencies for public safety, health care, education deserve a government that can attract and keep talented public servants. We're working every day to make sure that we deliver results. I want to thank Senator Kevin Corbin, Representative John Bell, their staff members Cindy Hobbs and Jimmy Milstead. Also, many thanks to the State Employees Association. They've been with us every step of the way. My amazing OSHR team, who is mostly behind me, but some out here as well. Wesley Davis for carrying this water for me. Thank you, Wesley. And our Recoding America fellows who have helped us since the beginning of this project. None of this would be possible without the hard work and dedication of each of you. It's a testament to the importance of this legislation that we made it here today without opposition, any step of the way, no opposition. Thank you all for your collective support, not only on this historic bill, but more important, its swift implementation. Next, I'd like to introduce Anna Troxler, an English teacher at Broughton High School, my daughter's alma mater as well. Ms. Troxler is going to speak about what expanding paid parental leave means for teachers and their families across North Carolina. Anna?
Thank you, Governor Stein, for having me today. My name is Anna Troxler, and I've had the privilege of being a public school teacher in North Carolina for 11 years now. Thank you. Thank you. In addition to being a public school teacher, I'm also the proud mom of 2 little boys. I have an inquisitive, joyful 3-year-old and a smiley, sweet 6-month-old. I recently told someone that being a parent is the best and hardest thing I've ever done, and I think the same can be said for being a teacher. When I had my first son 3.5 years ago, I did not receive paid parental leave and relied on accrued sick leave and unpaid leave while I was out. The decision to stay out on unpaid leave was necessary for my own health and the well-being of my family, but also added to the stress of navigating the changes that come with being a new parent. When I returned to my classroom, I was thrilled to see my students and ready to teach again. I knew I had made the right decision. The expansion of paid parental leave for public school employees in 2023 allowed me to take 8 weeks of paid leave when my second son was born 6 months ago, which was a huge relief to our family. I was able to take care of myself, my new baby, and not worry about the financial stressors of being out on unpaid leave. Once again, I returned to the classroom ready to see my students and glad to have had the needed time adjusting to life as a family of 4. The bill Governor Stein is signing today increases paid parental leave up to 12 weeks for state employees and public school educators. 12 weeks of paid leave provides the needed time and support to recover mentally and physically after the addition of a new family member. Parent educators will be given the chance to enjoy their families, invest in their own children, and return to our schools ready to support and equip students as they grow and learn. It's so important for teachers to be able to take care of themselves in order to take care of their students. And this bill provides the support needed for teachers to do so. Thank you.
I have not held a
Anybody have?